In this video, I will describe how to access the online databases for the Moʻokini Library. I'm on the Moʻokini Library homepage, and to get to the homepage, you can just type in Moʻokini Library in whatever search engine or browser you use. I'm going to scroll down from this homepage to the section that says Choose Your Campus, and I'm going to choose Hawaii Community College. If we choose this option for UH Hilo, we're unable to access any of the online databases. So UH Hilo and Hawaii Community College students share the same library, but we want to make sure we choose Hawaii Community College. And then for the Manono or the Palamanui campus, it doesn't really matter unless you really want to go into the library and visit the library. So I would suggest, if you're just doing this remotely and you don't plan on going inside a library, to choose the Manono campus. But for Palamanui, if you're affiliated with that campus and maybe you're going to actually visit the campus, you could go ahead and choose this option. But the library itself is located in Hilo on the UH Hilo campus. I'm going to choose the Manono option, which is the campus located in Hilo, and scroll down to LibCat, which is the database for all physical items, such as like an actual paper book. So I'm going to click on LibCat just to show you, and I know this isn't an option for everyone, especially if you are not in the Hilo area, but if you are and you were interested in checking out physical items, this is the database you would visit. I also am checked in, which I recommend doing. So when you check into any of the databases or you log into them, you need to use your UH login information. If you log in and you click on My Loans, then you can see any loans that you have. I don't have any for our library, but I have borrowed books from Kapiolani, Kauai, and Manoa, and West Oahu. I'm going to just click on the first option to show you that I have these books that are due on Friday. And if there is a renewal option, you can go ahead and just click on Renew, and then renew your checked out items online without having to go into the library. And we do have interloan library options. As you can see, these take a little bit more time and they're not guaranteed. So if you do plan on using an interlibrary loan option from the other libraries within the UH system, just keep that in mind. I'm going to go back to the LibCat homepage and type in Vahipana, which we will be writing about for essay number 3. When I do just a really general search like this, we're going to have a lot of different hits popping up. We can go by the icon and tell that this is a video as opposed to this, which is a book. If you see available at the Moʻokini Library, then you know that this is in our library. But if you see check location, that means our library does not have this option, doesn't have this item. So we can limit our search, and where it says availability, click held by library, and I'm going to apply that filter. So now only the books that are available at the Moʻokini Library, or the items from Moʻokini Library, will populate. So let's check out this Navahipana Ka'u. Looks interesting. So we can locate where this book is at, and anything related to Hawaii is going to be in the Hawaiian collection, which is a separate collection within the Moʻokini Library. We can use the citation tool, and for us, we use MLA 9th edition, although all of the databases aren't updated to that yet, so you can just choose 8th edition, and then copy and paste this. So later on, this is going to be really important as you start writing your rough draft for essay number 3. So this citation information, it's already made for you. You just need to copy it and paste it into your works cited page. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in LibCat because most of you will probably just be looking at the online resources. So I'm going to go back to the library homepage, scroll back down, choose Hawaii Community College and Monono, and then we can look at our other online options. So ebooks, that's always a great option. I'm going to go to the ebook central option here. This is kind of layered in here, so we have to click ebook central again. And then we will be redirected to a large database of books that are entirely online. As a resource for Vahipana, this database isn't the strongest, so we'll go ahead and try something that's pretty famous like Pele. We have an option here, Voices of Fire, Reweaving the Literary Lay of Pele and Hi'iaka. So we can check this out as an example. So when you do find a book you're interested in the eBook Central, you can click this option to read the book online, or you can click to download. If you download, you are only able to have the entire book for 180 days. You're also able to download a specific chapter, and that's up to 102 pages, and you can keep that forever. The citation tool is here. So if you were to use something from an ebook, you could just do the same as we did in LibCat and copy and paste the citation into your works cited page. And then let's go ahead and click on this Read Online option. There are some tools within this that are helpful. There's a description of the book. Out of this research assistant piece. So once we have the book open, we can do a search, which is really nice. I'm going to put Hi'iaka, and we don't have to worry about the diacritical marks or capitalization when we do these searches. And then it will search within the book, and it will tell us any areas within the book that mention Hi'iaka. So as an example, we can just click here, and then it will tell us the actual pages, and we can click on those pages or see them pop up. So this is a really nice feature for eBook Central. You can create your own profile, and if you do that, you can add things like a bookshelf to save books that you found if you're doing a lot of research, and then that will also allow you to use some of these other tools such as highlighting and different things like that. Going back to this area that has all of the different online resources, I'm going to now go to news sources. And news sources are really good for up-to-date current event information. They're not the strongest sources always, but again, if you need something that's really current and up-to-date, that's where you're going to go to your news sources. I'm going to go to the Access World News. It's a news bank that has all of these other sources also included. But if you wanted to maybe just go to a particular newspaper mentioned here, that's fine as well. But you'll get the most results from the Access World News option. So we need to click on it again to be redirected to this site. So once we've been redirected to the news bank, you can see that there are a lot of suggested topics. So this would be helpful if, for example, you didn't have an assigned topic and you were just kind of on your own. So it helps you go through and find information here. I'm going to do a general search, but I'm going to, instead of just writing a place, make it a little more specific. So I'm going to do keaukaha and then sewage, because the sewage plant there is a problem, and if you're writing about a Vahipana maybe related to keaukaha or somewhere within keaukaha, a current event could be related to the sewage issue. So I'm going to click on search and kind of scroll through to see what comes up. We have this sewage plant prompts emergency proclamation. That looks like this is an important article related to the issue of sewage seeping into the waters in Keaukaha. So maybe this looks like a good article. This is from February of this year, so it's current. We want to use this. The citation tool is here, and we want to choose MLA, and then we can just copy and paste this right into our Works Cited page. There are also some different filters you can apply to your search while using this database. So you can choose a date selector based on currency, how old or not and up to date you want information to be. You can look through these source types, so maybe you don't want college university newspapers included as an example. And then the source location, this one I think is particularly helpful. So maybe you want to be really specific to Hawaii. We can go to more options and then kind of weed through that. So we want to go to the state, and then maybe we can just narrow it down to Hawaii. So then we could click on the US and then go through and then just keep narrowing this until we get this to more specific. We could even get to city, but that might narrow our results a little bit too much. Going back to our landing page for the databases, we can take a look at the streaming academic videos. And for this section, for anything related to Hawaii, I recommend using this first option, which is the Alexander Street and Indigenous Voices collection. The films on demand, you might be able to find something as well, but it's not as specific to Hawaii, but sometimes you can find good related films. I'm going to just use this first as an example, so we have to click on it again. I'm going to come over here to the Indigenous Voice section. We have to click on Hawaii CC Access. So once we're in this database, we can go to search. I'm going to just put in a really general search for Hilo to see what pops up. And let's say maybe we want to research something about hula. So we can click on Holomaipele as an example. And then if we wanted to watch this hula, which has a lot of narration and explanation added to it about different places Hi'iaka visits on her journey in this Holomaipele, which involves a lot of different specific dances, we could go ahead and push play or click on play and watch this. The citation tool is located here. And just like with all of the other citation tools, once it pops up, we can go ahead and choose the format, which is MLA 9. This one's updated, and then copy and paste that into our Works Cited page. I also noticed several of the Hawaiian Legacy Foundation films that were made by Sam Li'a and his wife. These are great films, so I recommend these as you go through and do your different searches about Vahipana. Back to the landing page again. Subject research guides, these can be helpful, especially if you're just getting started with your research, so I encourage you to check that out. I'm going to go over here to the database A through Z list and just point out some of the different databases that I suggest you try using. The first is the Academic Search Complete. This is a mega database that has a lot of different specific databases all in one search. This database is really good for more scientific related topics, especially more of harder sciences. You won't find social sciences, for example, so much located here as opposed to we have a lot of biology, chemistry, those types of topics related to this database. We can also click on the Choose Database section and scroll through here to pick out particular databases to make this a little more manageable. So that's an option as well, but you can see there are so many different databases included just in this search engine. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this as general as it is, and then you can go through and check out the different options you can put into your search as well. There are different search options too that are in the slideshow that Lorianne, our librarian, made for us, such as truncation and phrase searching that you might want to try as well to just come up with getting different results. I'm going to put in a really general search to start with. So to just put in Keaukaha to see what pops up. And we don't have a lot of results, but we have 3. So we can go through and look at what we have. You can see, again, these are mostly academic journal articles, which are really excellent sources, but depending on the content and the type of journal, they could be pretty hard to read. We can go through here too and make sure that we want the full text, we want peer reviewed, we want certain parameters for the dates, and so forth. Let's just click on the first as an example so we can kind of see how this works. And what I like to do is always look at the subject terms. That gives me ideas for other potential terms to use in my own searches. So maybe I'm not getting great results. I can look at what is listed here and try those different words in my own search or those different phrases. I can look at the authors and, oh wow, yeah, I know some of these people. That's always nice. And then the abstract. So the abstract is really helpful because it takes the entire article and summarizes it into one paragraph. So it's really succinct and it tells us the most important ideas, and it gives us information regarding whether or not we'd like to read this or not. Do we want to spend time checking this article out? And then we have author affiliations, which is nice too in regards to verifying this for reliability, which we'll talk about in a separate video. So if we want to decide to actually use this, sometimes we have the option to listen to these articles, which is a nice option. And then we can just read through this information. I also wanted to show you the different options to save this information. You can save it to your Google Drive, OneDrive, print it, email it to yourself. The citation option is over on the right of the screen. So again, we would scroll down to where we see MLA format. This is also updated to the 9th edition. And then we can copy and paste this information if we were using this as a source into our Works Cited. Back to this general section of the databases listed alphabetically, I'm going to take you to my favorite option, which is under J for JSTOR. And JSTOR stands for Journal Storage. So there are a bunch of journal articles in this database, and this is more so for humanities and social sciences and history, those types of subjects. But JSTOR has a ton of information. I'm going to show you just how to do a basic search. Please note that there is an advanced search option, and you can go through and play around with the settings for that if you want to be more focused and narrow your results. I'm going to put in the Wailuku River, and see what pops up. So Waianuenui or Rainbow Falls is often, and I mistyped this, so this is a good example to show that spelling does count. If you misspell something, you're not going to get the results that you want, unlike something like a Google database. So putting in the correct spelling, we can see we have a lot of results for Wailuku River. And as I was saying, a lot of people like to do research on Rainbow Falls or Waianuenui, and sometimes have a hard time finding an academic journal related to that particular place. This is a book chapter called Waters of Destruction, Mythical Creatures, Boiling Pots, and Tourist Encounters at Wailuku River in Hilo, Hawaii. So I'm going to open this up. And this is nice too because, as I mentioned, it's just a book chapter. And if you are using information from a book, I don't expect you to read an entire book. Just a chapter or even a section from a chapter is enough just to get some information to support your argument in what you're writing. So when this pops up, we'll see this is 22 pages long. Unlike eBook Central, we don't have a nice kind of search where we can just type in a specific word and then be directed to that actual section within what we're reading. We have to scroll through. But we do have the table of contents, and these are linked so we can, go through and see what other chapters are in the book. But this particular chapter, we would just have to scroll through it. I suggest always starting with the introduction to get a better sense of the overall information contained within this chapter, and then go from there. If you decide to use something from JSTOR, again, there is a citation option. We'll go ahead and we could just copy this information using the MLA format and then put that into our Works Cited page. Going back to the collection of different online resources, I'm going to go over to the right of this page and go to About Library Collections, and then redirect us to the Hawaiian collection. And then once we're in this section, we're going to have to click on the Hawaiian collection again, and then this is the page that we want to see. I will go over the different resources in this collection in a separate video because it's going to be a little bit time consuming. But I want to point out that there are a lot of resources that you can access by going to the Hawaiian Collection site in the Moʻokini Library. So if we land on this page, you're going to see a lot of options to the right of the page, and some of these are accessible online. There's the Hawaiian Legends Index, which will redirect us to this site, and if we click on it again, that takes us to a site that was created by UH Manoa. And for this site, this is really good for finding any kind of mo'olelo or stories related to a specific place or person. And we'll spend more time with this a little bit later. But for now, oops, didn't mean to go there. I also want to show you, there's a Place Names of Hawaii link that has all these different resources that I'll go over in more detail later. But this is really helpful in terms of finding information like about geographical information, ahupua'a, if you wanted to find things like wind and rain names associated with a certain place, you can go through and look at this different information. And then one of my favorite sites to go to, this is outside of the library, but this is Ulukau. You can spend a ton of time going through Ulukau, and again in a separate video I'll talk more about this site. Just so you know, when you do go to this site, you everything will be in Olelo Hawaii or Hawaiian. You can toggle over to English and switch that so you can read things in English. But there are a ton of resources in this database that you can go through. A lot of books, a lot of other resources. There are links to the Hawaiian newspaper articles. Those are all in Hawaiian, so if you can read those, that's fantastic. But really a ton of information here. So it's a really fun place to browse through and start searching. This is going to conclude this video, and again, I will talk more about resources from the Hawaiian collection in a separate video. Mahalo.